Thanks, Louis, for the introduction, not the Italian way. Last time I was saying Lorenzo, but I can tell you now that I am Italian, at least. And thank you all for being here. I mean, starting the day is always a bit of pressure, but again, Louis trusts me with this, and I will try not to disappoint him and not to disappoint you. A couple of words about myself. Again, I'm Italian. I work for REPLUG. I'm one of the two co-founders, together with Luca here in the first row. And REPLUG, what is REPLUG? We are a mobile marketing agency. We help mobile apps grow with different activities. We do performance marketing, we do retention, general growth consulting, and also creative for performance marketing. We have been around for 2.5 years, pretty young, but we had some nice clients, some nice projects, and we also received some nice awards in these 2 years. Enough with self-promotion. Like today, as Louis said, we are here to learn something new. Hopefully, my content will be helpful for you to go home tomorrow or tonight and already start to do something. Since it is the first presentation of the day, I want to start with a story. This is Bill. Probably you know Bill from the internet. Usually you see it in different fashion, but like we try to make it with the REPLUG branding. And Bill downloads a new app. And right after the download, he starts receiving the first request for tracking, the ATT. He wanted to accept it, and he received the privacy policy. Right after, they received the push notification, and maybe the location. So Bill starts getting a bit, wait, what's going on here? Maybe it's an app that requests the contacts, and maybe also the camera. So Bill here is a bit like, what does he do? He feels a bit overwhelmed, and he basically uninstalled the app. This is a bad story, right? Because in this case, the meme on the internet would say, be like Bill. We say, be smart, don't make Bill uninstall the app. This is why we are here. Now, interaction. Raise your hand if you felt like Bill at least once in your experience with the mobile apps, right? So I think everyone felt at least once. I feel like Bill probably 85% of the time that I download a new app. Of course, there are good cases, but most of the time I feel like hey, too many requests, too many privacy, too many opt-in. And so, like, again, what's wrong with this story? Like, why this experience was so bad? Because the user experience was basically disrupted, right? So imagine you download the app, you really want to try it, and you start seeing all these requests. You start seeing all this pop-up and everything. And you're like, what the fuck? Sorry. Like, I just want to understand why I'm getting this. So the user experience was very wrong, and this is something that should worry us, because the user experience is becoming crucial for the mobile industry. It's becoming crucial for mainly 3 reasons. The first one is the increasing competition. So if you go to the App Store now and you want to download a fitness app, dating app, food app, whatever app, you find tons of options, tons of different applications that you can download. So the users will stick with you only if the user experience is not good, if it's fantastic. Otherwise, they go and find another application. The second reason why the user experience is important is that users are stupid. And don't get me wrong. Like, on average, they're stupid because they don't know the app as you do, as we do, because it's your app, it's our app, we know the features. We advertise it, we promote it, we know it. But they don't. They just downloaded the app, and they basically don't know what to do because they just receive pop-ups and things to be tracked. Third, and again, very important reason is that there is an increasing attention to privacy. And this means that the app developers need to request a lot of permissions to track the location, to track the contact, to track the ATT. So all those kind of things are very important for the user experience. And in mobile application, what is the first step of the user experience? User onboarding, right? So today, we're going to see together like why it's so important, the user onboarding for the overall user experience, but most importantly, like to increase the retention and to maximize the marketing permissions that we need to ask to our users. The structure of this workshop is divided in 3 parts. In the first one, we are going to answer the question that basically, what are the benefits of a good onboarding? In the second part, we will see together which team should be taking care of the creation of the user onboarding. And in the third session, we will see some best practices to create a good user onboarding, some do's, some don'ts, and whatsoever. Let's start with the first part, the benefits of the user onboarding. So at REPLUG, when we talk about the benefits of user onboarding and user onboarding in general, we used to divide these benefits in 2 parts. The first one is the part related to the product benefits, and the second one is the one related to marketing benefits. We are going to start with the product benefits. We identified 3 product benefits and 3 marketing benefits. Of course, there are going to be many more, but this is what we believe being more important at the moment. First product benefit is the one of welcoming the users. Again, we have seen at the beginning the experience of Bill. He didn't get any warm welcome, right? He was just starting with experience receiving a lot of tracking requests, a lot of permissions and whatsoever. So it was not like this. Here we see in the example 2 apps, PhotoC and Flipboard. PhotoC on the left is welcoming the users, saying, welcome to the home of emotions. It's really in line with the branding, right? Their tagline was print your emotions. So it gives already a warm welcome to the user. And this is important because, first of all, the user chose you amongst other apps. And second, probably you paid a lot for those users. So you want to be nice with them. Second example is from Flipboard. In this case, they don't really welcome the user, but they use the tagline, they use the value proposition, discover and share the stories that matter to you. So this is the first benefit that we identify. It's something very easy, it's no-brainer. Like you put a screen and you say, hey, welcome, thank you. We are here for you. We can also prepare the users and say, we are going to ask you to accept some permission soon. So this is something, okay, can put the user in the right mindset to say yes. First benefit, very simple, as the second one. Here we see another example from one of our clients. They are a receipt app. They have a lot of content, food content, and they have a feature that it's very hidden in the app. So basically, every time that they have a receipt, you can click on the 3 dots and you get access to more actions. So for them, it's very important. So important that they were hidden it was hidden in the app. And so we suggested them, why don't you put this feature in the user onboarding, right? So why don't you tell the user, why don't you prepare them to use this feature? And indeed, that's what they did. In the second step of the onboarding, they basically added everything in 3 dots. Click here if you want to do more. It's very simple. The theory here is to just explain your main features, the ones that are more important for you. Third benefit, it's a bit of a consequence of the first 2. It's a consequence of a good user onboarding, right? So if you have a good user onboarding, you can decrease the uninstall. Now, I would like you to think about these numbers. 53% of the users that install an app, after 1 month, delete this app. It's a lot. And those numbers are from AppsFlyer, not even very recent, so it might be even worse now. Out of these 53% that delete the app in 1 month, 45% do that within 24 hours. And this is wow. We paid so much. If you acquire 100 users, basically 25 after 24 hours are gone. And this is something that we can not fix, but we can try to prevent with the user onboarding. Because if you start welcoming the users, explaining your feature, getting the user in the right mood for using the app, probably you can bring down these numbers and then increase the retention. So just to recap, from a product perspective, the advantages that we had, we identified these 3 advantages. Welcome the user, explain the main features and the USPs of the app, and also prevent the uninstall. Then we can discuss together if you believe that there are any more. But now let's check the marketing advantages, the marketing benefits, which maybe are a bit more interesting for the crowd because we all work probably in app marketing. First advantage that we see from a marketing perspective. Having a good user onboarding can make it easier to request permissions like ATT, like geolocations, like anything that is important for marketing reasons, right? In this case, there is what I believe being an interesting example from Runtastic, Adidas. I think they started using it right after they launched the ATT, and they still use it, because I tried a couple of days ago to re-download the app. They still use it, at least in the training app. And basically here the theory is pretty simple. Instead of showing the ATT right away, they show the ATT after a pre-screen. So before they have a page where they educate the users to the concept of tracking. They actually say, we use IDFA, Identifier for Advertiser, to track your activity across the app. This will allow us to give you a better user experience. And this is a concept. Now I'm going to introduce this concept that is called WII.FM, which Luca likes to say it's the most listened radio into the world. I just like to say that it's an acronym for what's in it for me. And this is crucial for these kind of things, because you need to give a reason for the user to accept your permission. So in this case, pre-authorization screen with explaining, educating the user to the concept of ATT, and then continue. When the user continues, they have the opportunity to say yes or not. But at least they know what an ATT is, what an IDFA is. Second benefit, and again, some numbers, of a user onboarding is the one of increasing the push opt-in rate. So those numbers, again, pretty recent from Airship, they tell you that the medium acceptance rate, opt-in rate for push notification on iOS is 51%. We will talk about Android later. But for iOS, it's 51%. So it means that a lot of users are not reachable with push notification, right? So we are losing a lot of opportunities. And with a good user onboarding, we will see how, in a bit, like we can increase this push opt-in. For Android is a topic that is going to change. Like those numbers didn't take in consideration that now Android has a new version where they are requiring the users to opt in as well. So it's going to be like iOS. But in any case, like it used to be much higher. Our feeling is that it's going to go down as well. Let's see how we can increase the push opt-in rate. This is an example from The Economist. It's a bit the same concept for the previous example, for the ATT. They still use a pre-authorization screen. And in this pre-authorization screen, they have 2 buttons, and they have a strong what's in it for me. So they tell you, hey, stay up to date, just to be informed, which for a news app is pretty strong. And then you have 2 buttons. If the user clicks on enable, they show the official prompt. If they don't show it. Because we know that you can only show once the prompt for push opt-in on iOS, right? So this is pretty simple, but it works for getting the intention of the users. Same example from another app, Get Your Guide. I personally loved it because they put in the pre-screen authorization an example of push notification, right? They say, hey, do you want to receive this kind of content? And then the example of push. If yes, turn on. If not, skip. And again, if you click turn on, then you see the thing on the right. This is the theory, right? So you have a pre-authorization screen where you can get the intention of the user. If the user is saying yes to the pre-authorization screen, most likely they will accept the push notification prompt, the official one. If they say no, you can avoid to show the official prompt, and in that case, you can actually request the official push notification prompt in a second time. For example, I'm thinking about the delivery app. You can, if they don't accept it in the onboarding phase, you can request it while they order the food. And in that case, hey, do you want to follow your order? Now you have to say yes. So this kind of things you can do. You can play around. Very important, as I was saying before, the reason for the user to accept to be bothered. Third benefit, and probably the most intriguing from a marketing perspective, from a communication perspective, the benefit of including in the user onboarding the registration process and the process of collecting information about the user. Let's start with the registration. Here we see an example from The Economist where they decided to put in the second step of the onboarding the account creation. And they do it again with a pre-screen. They say, look, create an account. It's simple, but it will give you a lot of access. You will get more articles to read. You can save the articles. You can engage with the content. You can do a lot of things. So strong value proposition to accept it, to create it. And then second page, like they make it super easy. Like they give you 3, 4 options, and just in a couple of clicks, you can create an account. Very important to notice is that they let the user to be free to skip. So they don't lock you in. You can use a news app without having an account, right? It just gives you more access. So if you want to jump right away and see the content, you can do so. On the preferences side, here we see an example from Blinkist. We will see later the full process, but this one is just the part where they collect the user information. It is pretty straightforward and very easy. Like they ask you, what would you like to know more about? So they want to know your preferences. They want to know the content that you want to see, right? They ask you about the people that inspire you. They ask you about your interest in life. And then at the end, they also put a bit of gamification because they put like Tinder, yes or not. So it's very engaging. And this is simple but very important, especially for a content app, because you can give the user a more personalized experience, right? You don't want to read about self-development books if you like novels. So in this way, like they can give you a feed with more relevant content, and they can send you more relevant messages with CRM. So again, like user preferences, create an account, we have seen, and now we are going to see it combined in a very smart way. Again, a news app, Flipboard. Basically, what they do here in the first page, they ask you, what is your interest? Then they tell you, select at least 3. And when you selected them, they tell you, OK, now you have to sign up to save your interest. And this is pretty like smart, because basically they want to tell you, if you don't do it, you're stupid, because you invested time and you're going to lose everything. But it's very effective. We find it very interesting. And again, it's super good for CRM communication. It's super good for all the content that you can put in your app. Again, little recap of what you have seen. So user onboarding can be very beneficial for many things. We divided in product and marketing. We have seen that in the product part, we have welcoming the users. We have explaining the features and also reduce the uninstalled, especially the one within the 24 hours. And from the marketing side, of course, there are many benefits, but like the main ones that we identified are the permission request. We can do it better. We can increase the rates. The push notification opt-in, and of course, the registration process and the user preference. That's what we see a lot with our clients. That's what it makes a difference with many apps. Now, I don't know if it's already time for you. Probably it's 11, but if you want to tell us if you have some more benefits that you see, you can do it now. Otherwise, we can skip to the second part of the workshop. Again, it's like a user onboarding. I don't want to force anyone. Like you can skip if you want. No one? Not even? Let's skip it. Good idea. So let's talk about the second part. We have seen that there are product benefits, there are marketing benefits, so probably there should be a couple of teams involved in the process of creation. This is going to be short, but it's like I want to do it together with you. This is the structure. We have to create a user onboarding. Raise your hand if you believe that the marketing team should take the lead of the user onboarding creation. So either there are no marketing people, or you believe so. OK. OK. I will do it at the end. Right. Now, raise your hand if you believe that the product team should take the lead in the creation. Now, raise your hand if you believe that product and marketing should do it together. So basically, we believe that the product team should take the lead, always, for many reasons. It's a common effort, but the product team needs to take the lead. Why? Because in the end, the user onboarding is still part of the app, right? So we are talking about a mobile app with a, new, a UX and UI, and then there will be tracking, tech. So the product team really needs to take the lead, at least that's what we believe. But the marketing team really needs to be there, because otherwise some bad thing are going to happen. I mean, product team doesn't have the same, I don't want to say business look, but I want to say performance look, right? So they don't know if it's more important the ATT or the permission or the geolocation, this kind of thing. So we need to support them. We need to say, hey, we want to have the ATT this way, because if we increase the ATT acceptance rate, maybe we can track this and bring the cost down. So we need to educate them and vice versa. Marketing team has a lot of teams involved in this. The paid UA can benefit from the ATT, the CRM from the account creation and from the preference. So it's really, it needs to be a common effort. And yeah, thanks for participating. We can go to the next step. I told you it would have been short. So now we will see some best practices. So probably the most interesting part, at least in my opinion, like we will see some complete onboarding, some good examples, some very good examples, and some bill examples. And we will start just with this one. This is something that we experienced firsthand. So it's one of our clients. We cooperate with them with paid UA, but we also like to give our 2 cents on things like the onboarding. And this is what happened when I downloaded the app. The first 15 seconds of the user experience, I got location permission with the privacy policy in the background. I accepted it, and I got the notification prompt with the privacy policy in the background. Then finally, I accepted the privacy policy. I got into the app, and the ATT popped out. And I say, whoa, this is like a lot. And that's when we suggested, look, like, this is product, but from a marketing perspective, if you want to bring the cost, not the CPI down, but maybe the cost per active user down, you need to do something, because otherwise the user are going to download this app and are going to delete it right after, not even 24 hours, but probably 24 minutes. And so this is unfortunately something that we see pretty often in mobile apps nowadays. We see also good example, for sure, and this is the complete example from Blinkist. So what do they do here? After you download the app, you get a welcome page where you don't see welcome messages, but you just see a very strong value proposition, right? They say, understand powerful ideas in 15 minutes. And here, they do something that for us, it's very nice from a visual point of view, because they don't tell you what you will find in the app. Like with the text, they tell you with the books. So you start getting the feeling of the content that you will have inside the app. Once you click to get started, you go to the second page, which is a page where they present different use cases. Basically, they say you can learn things while you're driving, while you're waiting, while you're doing sport, and what's else. This is, again, they teach you how you could use the app. And then all the process that you have seen before, it's starting with the user preference to collect, as we saw before, a bit of gamification, so that they get the information about you. But you don't realize that you're giving them information then to bother you with push notification and emails and whatsoever, right? So it's just a user experience, a nice user experience. In the last part, push notification request with the pre-authorization page, where they tell you, hey, stay up to date, there is a lot of content, you don't want to miss it, strong value proposition, and then you probably say yes. So this was the example number 2. But here it's saying number 1. And this is a good example. Like, it's something that we believe it's very good, very UX friendly. Second example, third example. This is something I experienced personally last week. I was in Hamburg. I was looking for a mobility app, and I downloaded this app that I didn't know. It's called HVV Switch. And I was not surprised, but like I had a very good impression of how they onboarded me to use the app, how they got my permissions. Basically, What they do in the first screen, they have a very strong claim. One app, all the destinations, which is good if you want to travel. And then they put all the logos of the services that are available in the app. So nice welcome, I want to use this app. Second part of the onboarding, and you can also see how they play with the colors, they start asking for permission. So the permission part is in blue. And it's different from the first red part. So in the second part, they wanted me to give the consent to use the data, the privacy. And they do it in a pretty different way from other apps because they told me, they say to the user, we want to analyze the way you use the app to give you a better experience and to personalize the app. And then in the button, they don't say accept the privacy policy. In a subtle way, they say, yes, I agree with the evaluation. I say, OK, I agree. Then it's the time for the ATT. And here is even better, because they actually say that they are running digital ads to bring users into the app. And they say, next page, you're going to see the ATT from Apple that you need to click so that we can evaluate better our campaign, our budget is more efficient. So they really give an explanation, the marketing manager, the performance marketing manager was writing it. And it's something very honest. Then you are free to accept it or not. But at least you give a reason, a nice reason. It's not that you download the app and you are immediately asked to be tracked, right? So as I was mentioning in detail, it's a smooth process. It's an honest communication. And that's what caught my attention. The other part is the creation of the account. Again, very strong what's in it for me, because they say if you want to use all the services with one account, just register. And in the end, the permission for the localization. Of course, to use a mobility app, you need the localization. And that was it. Very smooth, very honest. We loved it. Last example, because I think Louis is watching me. I'm almost done. Last example is another app that that I love, but it's I let you see what's structured, because they do a very good job in creating a welcome page where they tell you what's the app about, right? So you see that it's animated, and then you can click on Get Started. When you click on Get Started, actually, they show you the feature. They show you what you will see in your timeline. So they give you a visual explanation of the app. And then we start with the preferences collection. So you can say when you go to sleep, and when you wake up, and when you go to sleep. And again, this is a simple onboarding, very neat, very smooth. When you click on Continue, they will ask you to accept push notification with, of course, a strong what's in it for me. Let me remind you. Again, you see, what's in it for me is always there. The reason is always there. I accept. And then the classic onboarding is over, and they begin with the contextual onboarding, which is something slightly different, something that we see more and more now. Basically, the concept of the contextual onboarding is that we let the user know what's the app about while they're using it, right? So they try the features, they try to click on the tasks that you have to do, and then they tell you, OK, now you have to do this and this and this, but it's not like showing this at the beginning with the normal onboarding. In this case, you can use the app, and you can understand what's the app about while the app developer is still onboarding you. So the concept here is, again, very simple. They have several USPs in the welcome page. They tell you the value proposition. They let you select your preferences. They let you opt in for push notification. And in the end, they switch to contextual onboarding to learn how to use the app. Again, there are many of these examples out there. We just selected this one because we used the app in the past. I'm done with examples, almost. I did it. We usually like to close the presentation at REPLUG with some takeaways, do's and don'ts. And let's start with the do's. What we recommend our clients is always to be polite with the users. Again, you pay a lot for these users. They chose you amongst different apps, so they are nice. Don't start requesting immediately for permission. Take the time to say thank you, welcome. That's the app. That's what the app is about. Again, what's in it for me? This is crucial. Like, this is something that it's important. Like, people don't do things if you don't give them a reason, right? So if you just tell them, give me the access to your camera, I'm gonna say, no, like, I don't give you the access to my camera. If I tell you, hey, if you give me the access to your camera, I'm gonna make you beautiful. I'm gonna change your photos. I'm gonna do this and this for you. Then say, okay, maybe I will give it a try. You can request, like you can explain your reasons in the pre-permission screens for all the requests. It's good. It's an additional step, true. It's true. But it's also a way to explain more and give more context. And you can consider a contextual onboarding. Of course, it depends on the app. Like, I don't know what kind of apps you have, guys, but like you can test a bit of everything. That's what we say in the second last point. Eat, sleep, test, repeat. This is something that we do for everything, not only for onboarding or CRM. We do it for paid UA, we do it for consulting. It needs to be tested because like it's not the Bible, what I'm saying, right? Maybe it's working for you, maybe it's not working for you. And like I skipped like, the possibility to skip is very important in the end because again, people don't want to feel locked in something that they don't want to do. And in the end, what we should try to do is to create a seamless customer experience. So the user doesn't need to recognize that it's a registration process, that is an onboarding, oh, wow, that's the app. Okay, nice. I'm going to do this, and then I'm starting using it. It needs to be a process. On the other hand, on the don'ts side, we really recommend, again, not to show all the prompts at the beginning, as we saw with the build example. Like we should really not bombard the users in the first 15, 20, 30 seconds, in the first session. Don't be too formal. I mean, this is something that we can do it with the pre-permission screens. We can be ourselves. Like, we can use our tone of voice, our branding, our things. So, like, be yourself, use images, use photos. It's an opportunity to connect with the users, the onboarding, right? They can start feeling you. And then, of course, the prioritization is very important. Sometimes we see that we don't prioritize the permissions. But, like, again, for different apps, the authorizations are different. They have different importance. We don't know what kind of prioritization you need. So always prioritize according to your needs, the marketing needs, and also the app needs. Second last, like this is funny. We see a lot of apps that are using the pre-permission and they forget about the user that say maybe later. So if users say maybe later to push notification, remember about later, right? So you should do it. You should act on it. So this is important. Don't forget. Last, connected to the previous page, like don't assume, test it, because that's the only way to be sure that it's going to work. And in the end, like that's our goal. We need to be smart, and we need to make sure that Bill doesn't uninstall the app, at least in the first month. Then it's not a thing. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Questions, as Louis is suggesting.
We have one right here. So when you ask a question, I'll run the mic over to you because I need to get my steps in.
Hey, thanks. Super interesting presentation. Just one question. What metrics do you usually use to assess the performance of onboarding?
That's a very good question. So how much time do we have, Louis, to answer this question?
Actually, you have 3 or 4 more minutes, but if anyone has pressing questions for Lorenzo, he'll be around, and then there's a lounge area all the way in the back, so all of our speakers after the session and throughout the day will be available to answer any and all of your questions.
Thanks.
But 4 minutes right now.
4 minutes. I'm counting. So it depends on your goal. So as a general onboarding, I would tell you, okay, check some metrics like retention day 1, retention day 7, these kind of things. But it depends also what you want to test in onboarding. If you're trying to increase the push opt-in, like you should test the specific, you should measure the specific metric, right? So The title of this workshop was how to maximize user retention, and this is something that you can easily measure, but also marketing permissions. So you should go one by one, your marketing permission that you want to improve, and see with the test. So if I use, for example, the pre-screen, does it help the push opt-in? Yes or not? And then you see. If I put the possibility to skip, does it help the retention? Yes or not? It's a continuous learning. I hope I answer your question.
One more question here.
Hi.
Hi.
None of the examples were really showing pushing people towards like a premium subscription, and we've started pushing people like the benefits of premium in the onboarding, and I'm wondering if you have thoughts about that.
That's something that we didn't take in consideration in this thing. It's something that we have seen with some client in the news apps. So we suggested try to put in a small bunch of users, try to put the subscription in the onboarding and see what happens. Again, I give you my 2 cents. I'm not a very big fan of seeing the price immediately, but it depends on what's the price. It depends on if you have a promotion, like if you have a fantastic promotion that the user needs to see, you can put it in onboarding and see if it's generating more subscription. Because in the end, like our idea with the onboarding is that we make it easier for the user to understand the features, the main features, and so not to uninstall the app and to get to the point where we get what we need. If what you need is really the subscription and you have a good offer, I think it could be a good idea to test it, yes.
Any others? You've thoroughly answered every possible question about onboarding.
That's what I do.
All right, everyone, please give Lorenzo Rossi a big round of applause.